The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And I guess we better start the show off with, it's not going to be, I guess, a daily thing anymore with our show every time we're on, because the COVID numbers are not going to be released as often. So we'll turn this over to Starship Admiral CJ.
Well, good morning, Abby. The counts for yesterday in Massachusetts was 507,166. New cases was 2,602. Total deaths was 14,489. 74 new deaths. Bristol County had 51,511. Fall River had a total count of 11,591 with 37 new cases. Total deaths is still at 291. Here's the issue. Yesterday, the mayor announced that he will no longer be putting out daily COVID number reports, and he will only do them on Thursday from henceforth. So on Fridays, we'll have Fall River numbers. We'll have to make a decision on whether or not we're going to do the daily numbers for Massachusetts. But I think the mayor may be getting into a point where he's putting a lot of work into these reports, which I think is appropriate to do. But because the numbers are going down and we're in a downward slope, he thinks it's okay for us to do this weekly. If we go on a downward slope, that's great. I think it's wonderful. But if we start climbing again, we're not going to find out till Thursday. I don't think the public wants to have it that way. So I think it needs to be revisited, especially if we start climbing in numbers again.
No, you're right. I think that this is extremely difficult. People have to be made aware of it because it's difficult to get compliance with the safety regs and distancing and stuff. But if you tell them that this is still a hot zone, it may help. We got to do everything we can to kind of stop this. We have actually we had a physician from the area, actually my primary who just retired, pass away from COVID, and there are a lot of people that we know recently who have succumbed to the disease. So we've got to try to do everything we can to stop the spread. So and lack of information does not help in that. The more information we get about how we stand as far as the cases are concerned, the better off we are. So that's about it. Let's hope that there is a revisiting of this decision, because I don't think it's in the best interest of the public. So let's get right into the big article in the Herald News, CJ, huh? Here it is. Let's see if we can see it here. Can we see that? Yeah, it's kind of blurry. Let me see how that, I can't get the camera up. I can't figure it out. Yeah. See, Fall River teacher who was fired last summer over Facebook post sues city and teachers union. Obviously this individual who was sued for comments that they didn't agree with is now filing a First Amendment claim. contending that she had a right to those opinions and stuff. So this is going to be this is a First Amendment case, because not only I guess we led the pack with this one, because they canned her because they didn't like what she posted on Facebook, which really had nothing to do with her teaching or anything else. And again, we see it on the federal level now, where our government wants to cancel anybody who has a different view, which is an attack on not only the First Amendment, but the very foundation of America. America was created by people who were coming here, who could not be heard, who would not be heard, and who were prosecuted and for having a different religion or a different opinion. That's the very foundation of our nation. So this is an important case, but let me get to the real important stuff here, and then CJ, you can take this away. What happened? There is and look at this. I printed it out. It didn't print that part out. Well, this is the wrong article. Okay. There was a comment in this article. It's actually a quote for a letter, and I will pull it up on my phone. CJ, you can yank it right now, where the entire school committee.
I have that comment right here.
Principal.
I have that.
Okay, read it, right here, please.
Yep. On June 8th, a public statement signed by all 7 members of the school committee and Malone read, "We can tell you that we are outraged by what we read from the Facebook screenshots, and we confirm with conviction that the Fall River Public Schools do not tolerate any form of racist, bigoted, or hateful speech from any member of our professional community." Unless you're Matt Malone.
Yeah, therein lies the rub. And this is what is everybody in this city. Everybody in this city should be outraged by the fact that the total hypocrisy of everyone except 2 members of the school committee who voted for termination. They signed a letter that basically said they were against it. Yet Matt Malone, I think the only thing that he didn't hit in that letter that he did, and is still allowed to not only remain on the job, but have the highest job in the organization. This may even help this individual's lawsuit. By the way, this individual's name is Camara. There is no relation. I have the only people who I'm related to that have Camara, members of my immediate family. My father had sisters who had children, so they all have different names. There's no relation. So there's no conflict of interest talking about this story. But this is what, because I don't want to have to get a hold of the Ethics Commission and see if I have a conflict of interest like our mayor did. But herein lies the questions. The mayor felt he had to recuse himself from this hot issue on the superintendent. Did he recuse himself from this vote? I don't think so. He signed the letter. He said the entire school committee signed it, so he's part of the school committee. He is the ex officio chairman. It said the members of the school committee and Matt Malone signed that particular statement, that they were outraged. You're going to tell me his brother, who's the HR guy, didn't investigate this issue? He did not ask for an opinion from the Ethics Commission on this one, because his brother did the investigation on this one, but he voted to boot this teacher because they felt there was going to be no controversy. To me, he was running and hiding like he did. And as far as the other 4 who voted to keep him employed, I don't know how you can look yourself in the mirror after sending this faux letter of outrage, this political posturing of how outrageous this conduct is, and it's not to be tolerated. But when somebody gets a job, you will be part of the 4 C's: the cronyism, the collusion, the corruption, and the big cover-up. But we can't see the report. You're indicted by your own letter, by your own words. The superintendent of schools should be fired, period. Case closed. You said it in that letter of June 8th. It will not be tolerated. But you're tolerating it now. When people get jobs, cronyism, patronage, nepotism. You ask what's wrong with Fall River. You ask why the school system has been broken for decades. All we know how to do is make high-paying jobs for people. And our children have always had issues getting a good education. This is why. This is why. This is all about getting something for themselves, like in Washington. Nobody cares. It's all political posturing. It's a giant facade. It's propaganda. That letter was propaganda. You all got up on your soapbox and you pontificated on how outraged you were. Then you turned around like the political hacks that you are, and you got paid off. And you let this guy stay in. And by the way, you let this guy stay in when not only did he commit these crimes and apologize for them, but he's done it in virtually every other city and town he worked in. There was a lawsuit in Swampscott. He bailed out early from Brockton. I mean, this guy's left a trail of lawsuits and debris wherever he's gone. And we managed to be the only city that ever hired him and renewed his contract. Now you're going to vote to renew the contract because you gave him a slap on the wrist? That's the height of hypocrisy. That's what they did to that FBI lawyer because he was in the right party. That's what so that's what you're going to do. You know, they threw Roger Stone in jail for 10 years for lying. We had an FBI attorney who lied to secure a FISA warrant that precipitated $32 million investigation of taxpayers' money based on a lie, and he gets probation. So tell me why that we should not get rid of you like dirty diapers every election. There should be a term limit of 2 terms and go back into the real world. All right, CJ, that's my rant. It's your turn.
Well, I'll tell you, this article, I was surprised. I was surprised that it was even written in this manner. I guess, the reporter has gotten back what appears to be a backbone again, because this reporter has never been soft on local politics. But over the past year with this mayor, it seems that this reporter has been soft on local politics. But what I think is interesting is the fact that, let me read this here. Unlike Camara, Malone was never placed on administrative leave for claims he verbally demeaning a physically handicapped school staff member and harassed female workers. After a $25,000 investigation by an outside law firm, the school committee voted in January to dock his pay by approximately $16,000 and added other terms to his contract, including that he could be terminated without cause if accused of bullying. I found that interesting. The other thing I found very interesting was that Corporation Counsel Alan Rumsey, whose office will be representing the city and school department against the complaint, declined to comment and stated that his office had not yet received notification of the federal lawsuit. Where's Bruce Assad? Isn't he paid for by the school committee? Isn't there a memorandum of understanding between the city and the school committee and the school department? Bruce Assad's paid a lot of money every year to be corporate counsel for the school committee and the school department. Why isn't Bruce Assad representing this? Why isn't he doing it? And if he can't do it, then why are we paying him? If he can't do it, why are we paying him?
Very good question. Because what are we doing with this? We have this is the city of Fall River. The MOU says that the MOU does say that the city's corporation council would handle it, I believe. But what it says is that the settlements will be paid from the school budget, to imply that that gives the school committee the right to withhold information from the taxpayer and the city council, which is BS. We covered that on another show. The school department, that's not the school department's money. That's their allocation of city money given to them by the city council. They do not, that's not their money. Number one, it's taxpayer money. Number two, it's given to them by a legislative body, the city council, that is the fiduciary in this city. So it's all political BS that for people that don't understand the law. The reality is that they have a treasurer in the school department. Why do they have a treasurer in the school department? That's just a bit. It is a huge part of the budget, but the fact is, it's a part of the budget that is part of the city budget. They go there and get that allocation from the city. We have a treasurer who has help in the treasurer's department. What's the treasurer in the school department getting? 100 grand? 125 grand? We have a lawyer who apparently doesn't litigate. So what's his job? Cover for the city, for the school committee? Cover for the administration? This is the problem with ed reform. They created their own fiefdom. And now they over the years, they have done nothing but pile on these administrative jobs like dean of students. I want to know somebody that's over the age of 35 that ever saw a dean of students before they got to college. If you're out there, please tell us on the thing. You're going to be one of the unique people who went to a middle school and had a dean of students. I mean, they just don't know how to urinate our money down the toilet because they never stop spending it. This is outrageous. The entire system is broken, and you got to get rid of these bums. It's that simple. They've proven that they're hypocrites. They don't, they're going to get rid of this individual. And she expressed her opinion. Well, guess what? Unfortunately, they're going to probably lose this case big time because you have a right to, they're trying not to give us a right anymore with the reality czar and the other things they're trying to do to erase anybody with an altering. But technically, constitutionally, you have a right to a different opinion. Listen, they're going to cancel me for what I'm saying because I'm totally opposed to transgender athletes competing against women. I don't have a problem with transgenders. You want to be a transgender, be a transgender. But you can't let a biological male who has more muscle mass, greater bone density, compete against women. You're going to obliterate women's sports. There's a lawsuit out there now. 2 girls that were looking for college scholarships because they were the best runners in the United States, and they got beat by 2 transgender competitors. Is that fair? Didn't we get that whole federal movement to promote women's athletics? What was it? Title IX or something like that?
Title IX, yep.
Yeah. Didn't we have that? We spent hundreds of millions of dollars getting this through, creating an arena where women could compete against other women, biological women. And now we're gonna throw it in the barrel because some nitwit decided that this applies in athletics. It doesn't. It doesn't. As a matter of fact, when I saw one of the reports on it, one of the women involved made a very important point. And this is extremely important. I think I mentioned it on a previous show. There are 300, which is the amount that Joe Biden is going to, inoculations he's going to give out. He said that twice. There are 300 high school male athletes who are faster than the fastest woman in the world. And you're going to allow biological men to compete against women? I mean, that's absurd. There's 300 high school kids that can run faster than any woman, and you're going to allow them to compete biologically. There was also a transgender who was allowed to fight in an MMA match, and she crushed the woman's skull that she was fighting with. This is absurd. Listen, I am not anti. You want to be that, but listen, I mean, where is your brain? Where is your sense of reality? You want a reality czar? They should start with you idiots. Because it's not a reality to think that a woman can compete with a man if they're athletes. You think a 135-pound woman boxer can fight a 130-pound male? She'd be dead of brain trauma in 2 rounds. I mean, this is lewd. I mean, we've gone beyond. We've gone from the ridiculous to the sublime. This woman had every right to have an opinion, and for her to be silenced and fired is bad enough on a federal level. But when the school committee and the guy who's guilty of everything that he, let he who without sin cast the first stone. And when Matt Malone put his name on that paper, was he full of crap? So that's it. I had to get off on that one because I had to get that one in.
That's okay. I understood. That's why I stayed quiet. It's interesting because, this whole case revolved around the fact that this woman made a comment on Facebook. And let's make it clear. Let's make it very clear. No parents or teachers or students complained about these postings. Nobody. So if nobody complained about them, but the school committee found them, why? What was the big problem? The big problem was she made a comment like this. There is one supreme race and gender, and that is the white man. I also can't help but notice that race and gender were the ones leading most of the riots. Lastly, if you look at more of the stats, more black men have died from other black men than white men. So there lies 2 problems. But there are far more inequalities that will never change. That was in her posting. She went to explain it a little bit. She was not expressing the opinion of the white man in the supreme race and gender, but rather that the white man merely believes he is the supreme race and gender. Kamara's explanation is supported by her statement. I also can't help but notice that race and gender were the ones leading most of the riots. Emphasis added. White, meaning if white men are so superior, why are they the ones behind all the rioting? I mean, it's clear. It's very clear.
Well, yeah,
why?
Yeah, but you know something. Yeah, but you know something, CJ? Even if she did say that, they should have maybe done background checks before. The irony is that the American Civil Liberties Union, it's primarily made up of a lot of Jewish lawyers, defended the American Nazi Party to say just that, to have a demonstration and say that the white race is superior. It's wrong. It's reprehensible. It's idiotic. But that's America. And that's when, before we began with the cancel culture, the American Civil Liberties Union defended people's right to even make that statement. Now, that statement, obviously, they were contending it was taken out of context, and I'm reading it right now. But, the thing is that this is another case of, are we going to have a country that is still the country that was founded for freedom? Because you do have the freedom to be an idiot and make stupid statements. And we have protected that. There are many people like you and I who will defend somebody's right to the death to say something that we totally disagree with.
Right.
To totally disagree with. And this is what America's supposed to be. But we get back to that letter, because now I did get it and I printed it. This is it. This is a quote. It was signed, and this is said, signed by all 7 members of the school committee and Malone, which means that Mayor Coogan said, quote, "We can tell you that we are outraged by what we read on Facebook screenshots, and we can confirm with conviction that the Fall River Public Schools do not tolerate in any form of racist, bigoted, and or hateful speech from any member of our professional community." So I assume that the superintendent who signed it is part of that community. Yet the superintendent made hateful speech, misogynic speech against women. He sexually harassed people. He bullied people. He made comments that violated age discrimination laws, and he made fun of people who come under the American with Disabilities Act. So I mean, he's almost got the everything in there. About the only thing I can say that, because what he said was bigoted, it was hateful. So why is it being accepted? Why is he employed as the person you look to define our school system, and they're letting him stay in his job except for because of the payoffs? The only thing he didn't get probably was racist, because there was probably, I don't know if there was, because I don't know any of these people. I'm commenting about what's happening here. And I don't know if any of them were of color. And if they were, so he's got that too. So he's got every single thing in that letter. Yet he's going to remain employed. There's something wrong with this. It's not only hypocritical, they're violating their duty to represent the people of Fall River. And they're covering it up, and they're withholding that report. That report, they will do everything they can to never see the light of day. But this newspaper article has brought it to the forefront again. And this letter shows what absolute phonies and hypocrites they are.
Well, it seems that Matt Malone hit the quinella in this situation. Term I haven't heard or said in a long time. But again, we've been saying this all along, that the school committee is not representing the people. They're not representing their constituency. They're not representing their employees, and they're definitely not representing their student body. So who are they representing? And remember, there are 2 students on the school committee as student representatives. 2. What do you think they're thinking about the behavior of this school superintendent? I'd like to know. Well, that's about it for today, people. We're all wired for sound, and we're ready to go. But I want to thank you all for watching. Remember, keep your nose clean. Watch what you post on Facebook. Stay safe. Stay angry. Wear a mask, and take care of yourself. We'll see you on Monday.
Freedom of speech.